Hi, in this video we will assemble all the remaining stuff around the engine, and hopefully by the end of the video we will have it ready to go inside of the car. The intake manifold needs to be fully disassembled to be cleaned inside because it is really dirty, and even here the throttle body it's really dirty. So I will need a 12mm socket for all the bolts. I will take also the EGR because I will not use it, and I already have the blanket to eliminate this, so I can start from here. Next, I will remove both sensors here. For this one you need a big Phillips screwdriver. Next, we can take this bracing here, these 4 bolts. Maybe I will take the throttle body first. Here it is, and you see how dirty it is inside. I think this guy will go straight to the ultrasonic cleaner. Now I will take that bracing, and now finally I can open the manifold itself. And here we have 2 long bolts, 1 small and 2 nuts. Now we can split it. See how it is inside? It really needs to be cleaned. We have a metallic gasket, not in bad shape. Let's see how easy it is to get one of these. If not, I need to clean this one and reuse it. As usual, all this surface where I will apply a new gasket, I start by cleaning them with a razor blade. I started to degrease the cover. I made the first pass, and then I remember that, of course, these baffles are glued with RTV. So if I want to powder coat this and it goes to the oven at 200 degrees, I will need to remove it and clean all that sealant. The first one is off. We have here the intake manifold. It's all disassembled. All the parts are cleaned and prepped at the moment to be reassembled and bolted back on the engine. And right in there you can see the new engine mounts that I sourced, that they are already stripped and powder coated, ready to go back to the engine also. Here on the intake manifold, of course we will not have the EGR, so I have a Skid Nation blanking kit that I will assemble. It came with all the necessary hardware. I just cut it with my laser 2 blanket gaskets because we will have pressure inside, and I was not feeling confident to just put the stainless steel against the aluminum. Next, let's reassemble the manifold itself. Now with the manifold assembled, we can pass to the throttle body. We will use a new gasket. Make sure everything is really clean, and the gasket can only go one way. And if you check, it has a small recess all around, and the higher part, it is facing the manifold. I was missing the gasket for the idle control valve, so what I did, I designed this in CAD, now translated to the program for the laser, and I will cut it right here. I'm just using some cardboard for gasket. I will cut it with the laser. Let's see. Here I have an amazing gasket cut to the size. Let's try it on the valve. Perfect. With the gasket cutted, I will just assemble the idle control valve, the throttle position sensor, and just like this we have the manifold ready to go to the engine. Now back to the engine block, we have here this guy, this part, that it was the supply for the oil cooler that I will not use anymore, so I need to blank this somehow. I tried to remove this piece, but I was not able to unbolt it. I don't know if it is bolted or if it is part of the block. I think it's bolted because this one is steel, because the magnet can hold it. So it should be bolted here or maybe pressed in here. I was not able to move it. So before I keep going, I will just cut the tip and weld it closed. Before we install the VVT on the engine, let's change all the O-rings and also the filter. With the new rings in, we can now mount all this on the engine. We'll start here by the actuator. I will remove the oil temperature sensor because I need to install this block that I have that will pick the oil to lubricate the turbo. And now here in the front we will have our temperature sensor. And here on this side I will connect the feed for the turbo. Now that I have here a really nice access, I will thread in the NOx sensor. And the NOx sensor is in. This threaded tube that holds the oil filter, and previously it had the oil cooler. It's too long because the oil cooler had 54 millimeters and now the picker that I have for the external oil cooler, it has only 34. So I need to cut 20 millimeters from this guy to have it on the correct length to be able to bolt the oil filter. So I will just cut 20 millimeters from this. I will put the brand new cam angle sensor, just slide in here. We have the back cover for the water system that we have here the picker for the temperature sensor, and we had here the neck to connect to the heater inside of the car. And I don't have that, so I just blank it and it's now welded and closed. With the brand new gasket, let's install the cover in place. Next, I will check the fuel rail and I will use the same injectors that were on the engine. I have 4 RX8 injectors, the yellow ones, tested, but for the time being I will just use the OEM ones to put the engine to work, and then when the engine is working fine with this, I will then swap them and put in the yellow ones. I have already disassembled the electrical part because the 1.6 harness is quite different and we don't have these connections for the engine harness, and it comes directly from the ECU. So I have in the car the connectors for the injectors. I have also a connector for this small harness for the temperature sensor and the ground. So I need this bracket to bolt on the back of the engine. Here in the engine I took already the tape that I had covering the port. I checked the injectors and the O-ring, it's fine, it's not cracked in any of the injectors, so for the time being, just for the purpose of starting engine, this will be fine. We now need to put the spacers. Then we just need to align the injectors there and make sure that they are on the right place. And now tighten the fuel rail. You don't have to go crazy, but make sure that it is tight and secure. Due to the position of the connectors on the injectors, we can only put the intake manifold when the engine is on the car because we need to connect them first. So right now we can finalize the assembly of the intake manifold, mounting the bracing that goes from the manifold itself to the throttle body. The part is already here. I already cleaned it and powder coat it. So it's just a matter of bolting it here on place. On this side of the engine, on the exhaust side, we have the water inlet for the water pump. And in here, usually we have a piece that takes the water and also has the pipe for the heater inside of the car. All of that is deleted in my car, so I created a custom-made flange that will go straight in there with a gasket. So like this, we have a really nice angle to connect our pipe to the radiator and to not interfere with all the turbo stuff. For now, I will install the exhaust manifold. The exhaust manifold that I've got with my kit has the 4 corners a little bit thicker, and I was not able to find the proper studs for that. So I will use 8.8 bolts with the red thread locker. I believe that it will be fine. To finalize this side, I will mount the engine mount, and that it goes right here. The 1.8, it has 4 bolts, and we have longer bolt and shorter one. On the exhaust side, it takes 3 short bolts and 1 long here on the oil pan, and in the other side it's 2 long and 2 short. And this side is complete. On the intake side, we have the things almost ready also. I was thinking to install the intake manifold in place, but that would be a little bit hard to get access to all these bolts, so I decided a different thing. I will install the intake manifold as I have it right in here, that it will be much easier to bolt all these. And then on the car, to connect the injectors, I will split the top part of the manifold and I will connect them and reinstall this top part with the throttle body attached. So for now, this will be complete, and then when you need, I will take this top part only here, that it is really easy to have access to all the bolts, and connect the injectors. On the intake side, I will also install the engine mount. The zip tie is just to prevent this part to fall over. This will be removed, of course, when I am installing the engine in the car. Next, I can install my oil line for the turbo. These NPT threads should seal by themselves. Anyhow, I put some thread locker here. Here we will have the trigger wheel. That's from factory. It's a 4-teeth trigger wheel, but I will take the opportunity to improve the resolution and I will install the 36-2. This can be installed in two positions. You can see you have the 4 bolts and the hole here for the pin. You can put it either in this position with the missing tooth here for the exhaust side, but the correct position is to put the missing ones for the intake side. So you just need to put the new timing wheel and now install the crank pulley or the vibration dampener on top. With the timing wheel installed, we can install we need to fine tune it to have it close to the wheel, leaving a gap like roughly a credit card. So let me put a card between the sensor and the trigger wheel, and now I can bolt this guy. Next, we can mount the water pump pulley. You can hold it by hand or you can put an old belt here and hold it. Next, we can now put the thermostat. This line here, it's already blanket. I weld it because one more time I will not use it. Put the thermostat in with the pin up. It should be oriented up like this. Now you put the gasket. The gasket have a print that I will install facing the block, and I will install the bolt through. Remember, the water neck is aluminum, so don't go crazy when tightening this, but make them really snug. I'm missing now the dipstick, so I will install it now. Don't forget to replace the dipstick O-ring. The dipstick is held in place by this stud here to the flex plate. For the time being, I will just push it inside here, and maybe I'll throw a zip tie here just to have it secured in place. To finalize the top of the engine, we need to install the spark plugs and the coils. This is what I'm using. The spark plugs should be pre-gapped between 1 mm and 1.1, but anyhow I will put the filler gauge and with the 1 mm blade. They came all gapped to the right spec, so now I will just install them and then torque them. Now, with the spark plugs in place, we can install the coils. We will have 2 sets of coils, one with a long wire and one with a short. The long one, it will be for cylinders 1 and 4, and the short one for the cylinders 2 and 3. I'm sorry, but somehow I lost the sound for this clip. In here I'm installing the alternator. It's really simple. It just has a pivot bolt in the bottom that will thread on the body of the alternator itself, and then on top it will have the tensioner that will allow you to tighten it and get the right tension on the belt. Also lost the sound for this clip, but this was really simple. It was just to mount the bracket that holds the intake manifold. It is held in place with 3 bolts, 2 on top, 1 on bottom. The bottom one threads directly to the engine block, and the 2 one on top, that you can see here the holes, will thread on the bracket itself. The engine is now ready to go to the car. It's all fully assembled, what we can put here in the stand. The next step, it will be to take it from the stand, put it on the crane again, and install the flywheel, the clutch, and the gearbox. This was the video for today. I really hope you enjoy it and it can be useful for you. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the notifications so you don't lose any of the new content. Follow me also on the social networks, on Facebook and special on Instagram, where I post regular updates between the videos. See you on the next one. Bye!